Right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the globe. Let me start by saying, if today does not question us, time and history will question us on what we did today and what difference it made for humanity and the coming generation. I say again, welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. And of course, I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo. I am with my real talkers, that's how I like to call them. But let me start by saying it's really nice to be back with Lolo. Said, gosh, I really miss this young woman, this ebony beauty, you know. And I must thank you guys for holding it down, you know, while I was away. Gosh, like I was saying, Masha was in charge, both from his outfit to his countenance, you know, to your body language. Like sometimes when they are talking, you will just interrupt, no. What are you saying, Lolo? I said, oh yeah, how you doing, guys?
It's really wonderful to have you back. I love the energy you bring. You know, I always like looking at you in my own quiet way. But I hope you had a great holiday.
I did.
Yes, because
I'm fast.
We worked so that you can rest.
No, I joined virtual meetings here and there.
How is it that Kike will just be somewhere and for 4 days sleep, wake up, do nothing?
Is it possible?
I doubt it. Even if there's no work, she'll find work for herself. She can even tell the hotel manager, I don't like the way you arrange this room. Let me do it.
And that actually happened.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to your your lunch hour show. We're always happy to give you the very best of everything you can imagine on the show. If it's topical, definitely it's going to be talked about on the Real Talk with Kike show.
Just looking at the screen when Lola is talking, and it's just some volumes you can see, you know. Yeah. I just like the way you. Anyway, Kike, it's good to have you back. Your canvas was too big for us. I don't know if that was size 46 or 47. Well, it was too big for us to fit in, and we're happy that we're taking back our co-host positions, and she's there on the hosting seat. We missed you a lot. Thank God.
I missed you guys. It's teamwork, actually. It's a teamwork.
I even thought you'd come back speaking a new language.
I'm not very good. Alright guys, let's come back. They said in 2012, you know, police opened fire, killing 34 striking workers at Maracana, Northwest Province at South Africa. A story from beyond Nigeria, now trending to as a story from Kenya. But let's get to hear more on this historical event on this day in history segment. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
On this day in 2012, police opened fire, killing 34 striking mine workers at Maracana, Northwest Province of South Africa. During this fateful event, 78 people were left wounded, while more than 250 people were arrested. The protesting miners were demanding a wage increase at the Loman Platinum mine. This was the biggest incident of police brutality since the dawn of democracy, and revived memories of brutality suffered on the apartheid security police.
On this day in history segment, gosh, Masha, let me come to you first. What's your take on this day?
Well, it just reminds us of the news then. I remember reporting that news at the time from my desk as a desk reporter. I was reporting the protests, first of all, what they were demanding, and then eventually when they were attacked and killed, it led to a global outrage. You know, people came for South Africa, and it really opened a can of worms regarding how illegal mining was going on there in South Africa, and how the miners that were legal were wrongly treated. It was another round of apartheid we were beginning to see in Maracana Long Mill in South Africa there, you know, and yeah, it just reminds us of that time.
South Africa is a place, I'll call it a country that understands struggle. And you know, looking at the history and the things that they've gone through in the time past, especially this one that happened at that time, you think that the people that were brutalized like that you know the police had no regard for, and they died en masse, you think that this should like settle down on South Africans in a positive manner. But you know, when I think of what they've done in recent time with this xenophobia they're doing, I'm wondering that, is it that the hardship and the pain of yesterday has become one with them, that they no longer know the boundary between right and wrong? Because I would think that with a history this dark, it will make the people
love themselves more.
Love them, at least understand what it takes or what it means for humanity to be brutalized. But they themselves have become the abusers. It's just, you know.
You both have said it all, because as far as I'm concerned, I feel that there are quite a number of ills that have become a culture, whether at our own frontier in Nigeria or other West Africa or Central African countries. And the question is, like you said, what are the lessons that we can take away that can actually unite us, you know, in one unity? But it's unfortunate that, you know, quite a number of citizens all over the world, you know, I feel that there are quite a number of reorientation that needs to come into play, so that people can even embody some of their pain. I feel that people who are pain are the ones that actually transfer the same pain. That's the reason why sometimes, you know, we don't get the best out of people, out of things, you know. It's so unfortunate. But moving away from it, you know, this initial segment, you know, it's time for us to go on a quick break to get the message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. A few weeks ago, APC and other political parties began selecting and appointing the members of their campaign council, and specifically with regards to their presidential campaign. And Simon Lalong and the executive governor of Plateau State and Adams Oshomole was announced as the head and deputy head, respectively, of their presidential campaign council. One would easily think that it would be an all-males affair, but APC seems to have an inclusive strategy for the women folks in their bid to win the 2023 election. And among the campaign team, we have Mrs. Hannatu Musawa, who was chosen as the deputy spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. In the same vein, she carries on our, should I say, the shoulder, the heavy ledge that comes with the spokesmanship of the ruling party in Nigeria at a time when there's a lot of criticism, if that's a word to use right now. And will I say that the criticism are high towards the presidency? But she is our guest today on the show to discuss how being a woman at the helm of political campaign influences the direction of our political landscape. You know what, guys? Stay with us. Let's check out our profile. We'll be right back. All right, welcome to the show, Mrs. Hannatu Musawa. It's a pleasure to have you on Real Talk today. And I must say I'm proud of your achievements and being a lawyer and getting involved in politics. But let's start with, how are you doing today? Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, I think we are having challenges with the connection at our hand. All right, we'll go on a quick break. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can. Yeah.
Fantastic, Pastor. I'm being told by a technical director that the internet at your end is not strong enough for us to get your visuals. But quickly, let's just move on while we're trying to sort that out. You know, coming from your background in politics and getting here as the deputy spokesperson in the presidential level, what do you want to do differently as a female spokesperson? Why do I ask that question? Because I feel that, you know, how do you want to do your job with political heavyweights like Adams Oshiomhole, Simon Lalong rather? What's your take on this?
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Miss Kate. It's a great pleasure. Yeah, I'm actually very honoured to have been given this great responsibility of being deputy spokesperson of our candidate in APC. I think as a woman, specifically as a Northern woman, I bring a different kind of in a more feminine way, in a more maybe gentle way to the electorate. I think I also have the ability to be able to reach out to a certain demographic and a certain constituency that maybe a man in my position wouldn't be able to do so. So I really do hope that everybody in Nigeria, especially those from a minority group, you know, minority in the different demographics, can see in me a reflection of who they are and a reflection of what they can be, and also to give kudos to my principal for having the vision and the trust to nominate myself, to give me that trust to nominate me to speak on the behalf of not just the party, not just his campaign, but for him. So I think it's a great responsibility, but I'm very happy to take on the task.
For joining us on the show, we're very grateful. I just want to ask, because being a woman and the deputy chair for the campaign council for the presidency, a lot of people would say that most of the time when women are chosen, it's just for optics. That they would not really wield a lot of power. Would you say that in this position that you are, you have strategies to be able to, you know, push forward your ideas and be able to be seen to be working actually, and not just some figurehead that is just sitting on a chair? Yeah, the question, ma'am.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh,
Can you
apologize.
repeat that, please?
I'll reiterate that. I said a lot of times most people believe that when women are chosen for positions of leadership that are sensitive, that is usually for the optics of it, that they will not be given actual power to be able to do anything with the chair. But I'm asking that, what are your strategies, or what do you think you will be able to do to be able to push your ideas through and be seen to be actually working?
In a family where, for my father, the issue of gender did not come into fray in terms of power dynamic. So for me, it's not strange that I would be in the midst of men. I do not think that my voice will be dimmed in the voice of men, such great men that are participating in this political process. I really do think, though, the fact that there's a woman that has the ability to speak up and speak out in the way that I intend to, I think not only would the people within my party have to listen, but I think that I will have the ability to push through. And I just want to bring another point from, you know, my constituency is really the North. And apart from the fact of being a spokesperson or deputy spokesperson for my principal and his running mate, I also want to be able to effect and bring the votes for my principal in my constituency, which is Northern Nigeria. And the fact that most of the voting public within that constituency are women. And then when they see a woman like me coming out to represent, who is a very traditional House of Fulani woman, I think that will really inspire them to come out and support the principle that I speak for. And at the same time, I hope to have time to be able to go to the rural areas during the campaign process and try to reach out to women. Now, if you know much about northern Nigeria, in the very rural areas where, you know, that's where most of the voting population is, men cannot go into the houses. It's only women that have the privilege of entering into the houses where they interact with the women and the youth. So I want to use that to my advantage. I want to go to the areas that I think mostly need concentration, and to be able to try to use that power that I have to go into people's houses and to be able to garner as much support for my principle as I can.
Makes a lot of sense. I see a lot of sense in that, in the aspect of trying to make a woman a deputy spokesperson in that region for your party. But one concern I have is being the image maker of your party, so to speak. Not much has been heard about your principal and his running mate in terms of what they are bringing to the table when you compare with other presidential aspirants from the opposing party, the PDP and the Labour Party, Atiku and Peter Obi. We've not really seen much from your principal as to what they would bring to they would be bringing to the table at the break of 2023.
I think by the time, you know, campaigns haven't started, they will start at the end of September, and I can guarantee you, by the time we unveil our manifesto, you will have so much information to galvanize your minds that, you know, that will take a lot of your time. But I wouldn't really say that you haven't seen enough of our principles. I mean, we want to campaign on the future, which is why we want to unveil a very robust and dynamic manifesto, which we intend to do so very soon. But at the same time, even as of now, I think if you look at the track records of both Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, that in and of itself stands on its own and should be able to convince, even if it's just a percentage of the electorate, that these two men are able to take Nigeria at least to a much greater plane that we are today. I mean, the achievements of especially Bola Tinubu is absolutely, you know, you can't even quantify the kind of achievements that he has been able to record, not only as governor, but even out of governance. You look at so much about this revolutionizing the telecommunications industry, and even within this generation, we've never had a politician that has built human capacity in the way that Asiwaju has. And Kashim Shettima as well. We are very proud to have him as the running mate, and the achievements that he had in his state while he was governor, it speaks on its own. But by the time we do unveil our manifesto, and by the time we unleash these two gargantuan figures into the political space for 2023 election, by the time you add their past achievements and what they intend to do for the future of Nigeria, there will be enough for Nigerians to salivate on them, enough for Nigerians to consider voting them.
Thanks for your submission thus far. I'll be asking your own opinion regarding your principal in a bit. But let me ask you quickly, you know, unification of Nigeria is paramount now. I understand we need to see beyond ethnic and religious lines dividing us into pieces. How does APC want to address this divide, knowing that truly the Muslim ticket angered or has angered some Nigerians at the moment?
You know, with the Muslim ticket, let us start at this space. You know, ideally, the issue of religion or tribe or ethnicity should not even come into the fray. We should all look at ourselves as Nigerians. However, realistically, because we live in a very fractured society, of course those issues come in. And even when Asiwaju Bola Tinubu made his decision to pick Kashim Shettima, we were aware that it would raise quite a lot of dust. Now, I want to say that at the very base point, it should every single religion should feel represented. But we first of all have to also remember that Nigeria is not just made up of Muslims and Christians. You have I even met a lady once that said she was from the grain movement, and she was Nigerian as well. You've got Hindus, you've got traditional religions, but the two main religions, which is Muslim and Christian, ideally should have been represented on that ticket. So I want to say that we as a campaign want to offer understanding that people would feel
all right, we'll go on a quick break to get that sorted out. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still with us. In case just joined the show, today's conversation revolves around campaign preparation and activities towards the presidential election, and we have the APC deputy spokesperson live on air with us, well, via what's it called now, the electronic lines. Again, I say many thanks thus far, Mrs. Hannatu, Musa, for all your submission. But quickly, let me quickly use this opportunity to open our phone lines. Don't forget that you can be part of this conversation by calling our studio number 080-988-77400, showing on your screen right now. And remember that we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube page, both on Silverbird platform and on Real Talk with Kike. Ma'am, are you there?
Miss Kike.
All right. So, with all that you've shared thus far, it is all over the news that Wike is inviting APC chieftains to Rivers, and I felt that if I don't touch on this with you, maybe I might not be doing justice to this interview. So in the scheme of things, many sidewalks and insinuations that are, beginning to surface, knowing that Wike is from the opposition party. What do you have to say about this?
I really hope that we get to a place where all these little bickerings within the party end so that we can really focus on the issues. However, rather than His Excellency Governor Wike reaching out to us, our doors are open. I mean, if he wants to come into the APC, he will have a home here. We'll be very much welcoming. I mean, he's a very energizing, colorful figure. So we do have a home for him. So if by any listening or watching I give him, as in my capacity as the deputy spokesperson, give him an open invitation to come over to the good side.
Well, thank you very much for that submission. We laughed a little in the studio. But Nigerians, we understand that when it comes to campaigns, a lot of times the kind of preparation we see parties put forward are a bit lackluster. We see a lot of campaigns in Nigeria where we're so used to sharing food items, like that's part of the campaign, our strategy. What would you say you will be doing differently this time when it comes to campaigning? Because right now the youths are alive and they're doing a lot of clamoring and a lot of, speaking out on social media. Would we be seeing bags of rice and oil and money being, put around, especially in rural areas, towards the campaign this time? Or is there a new strategy that we'll be looking forward to seeing?
Our strategy, honestly, is number one, to run an honest campaign so that Nigerians know that we align with Nigerians. We understand the situation, the tenuous situation that Nigerians are under. But our main issue is to focus on the programs that we have for Nigeria. We're looking at Nigeria holistically, and we're looking at every single area that needs
Can you still hear us, ma'am?
Run a campaign so that we can. We want to run a robust grassroots campaign that will enlighten Nigerians on the vision that Asiwaju, Bola, Tinubu and Kashim Shettima have for Nigeria. And I think through that, we'll be able to convince most of the electorate. And you talk about the youth. Yes, this is the time for the youth. And I believe, the youth are not just those that are clamoring that are online. Most of the people where I come from don't even have access to this social media that we talk about. They don't even have the internet or the data. And every time I go to my locality, I see youths that are also clamoring for Bola Tinubu. So when you talk about the youth, it doesn't mean that it's relegated to one specific candidate. The youths are all over Nigeria, and I think it is the time of the youth. They will make the decision together with the women as well. And I believe that with the support of the youth and the women, by the time we unveil our plans for the nation, they will support Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima to emerge as president and vice president in 2023.
All right, many thanks for that submission. We have Jidioke from Bayelsa State. Jidioke, apologies for holding you for too long. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. Based on the issue of Musa inviting certificate to the commission, for me, it's not about that we are off Monday. Apart from political issues, remember there are brothers and sisters.
Yes, sorry, I think the network is a bit erratic today. Ma'am, listening to you, I want to quote you in one of your speech that you have a new dream for Nigeria. Many see it as hopeless, knowing that there's a great deal of challenges on our hands at the moment, especially with the current administration going to the next. How do you think that your principals, that's Asiwaju, Bola Tinubu and Shettima, will want to implement your new dream for Nigeria?
That specific, I think you're talking about the article that I wrote a couple of weeks ago about having a new dream for Nigeria. And that particular article was actually to address the issue of the Muslim ticket. And like I said in that article, and I know this is the same thing that my principal and his running mate also share, is that I wanted to reach out to the Christian community and to let them know that I was putting out a hand of understanding across the aisle to let them know that I understand how they feel. Because like I said, I wouldn't be able to articulate how I would feel, maybe had it been a Christian ticket. But I wanted to use that opportunity to explain to them that they had nothing to fear. There was no issue of trying to marginalize them. Kashim Shettima emerged because of certain variables that Asiwaju, Bola Tinubu had come to make in terms of decision making. And that was my dream, was that at one point we would look at ourselves as Nigerians, and all these primordial issues about religion and about ethnicity wouldn't really be much of an issue. But really the most important thing is for the Christian community to know that we understand how they feel, and we put our hands across to them and invite them to come over to listen to us and to know that we understand how they feel, but we're looking at the future of Nigeria. And Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was looking at governance. He wanted to come into governance and hit the ground running, and he didn't let himself be pigeonholed into choosing any specific religion or ethnicity. He just wanted someone that will help him co-anchor the business of governance, and it just happened to be Kashim Shettima, who happens to just be a Muslim. So that is my dream, and I think Bola Tinubu, together with Kashim Shettima, understand this. Bola Tinubu is the most detribalized, the one person that issue of religion, he is just so so cosmopolitan, and he's so understanding of every religion. So I've been around him and I've seen other religions apart from Muslims and Christians. The Christian community has absolutely nothing to fear, and that was really what that was about.
All right. Yeah, we have a caller on the line, Stanley from River State. Stanley, what's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Hello?
Stanley, are you there? Go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to speak. Yeah,
all right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please. Please go straight to the topic at hand.
Yeah, please. I want to speak concerning this the campaign lady who is online now, and my regard goes to the APC. My point is that I want to go concerning the Muslim ticket.
Stanley.
All right, I'm sorry, Stanley. I have to let Stanley go too. Marshall, please.
Yes, okay, ma'am. Well, I'm a bit fixated on your principal, who is the frontliner of all this discussion that we're having. He's the frontliner of your party, and that's why when we talk about a woman who is deputizing for the spokesperson of the APC, we also look at the function of which she is meant to do or handle, the office which she's meant to handle, and that brings us to your principal. In the break of this, at the break of this current administration, we had the president at the time jet away from Nigeria, and he was away for quite a while on medical treatment overseas, and Nigerians were talking. One of the issues that was raised was the kind of ailment that the president was suffering from, which was kept in the cupboard, tucked away from Nigerians. That was a bit of a concern, and people that were spokespersons for the president never came to address that concern with the public. And here we are now. Your principal is one person that has been said to be suffering from one ailment or the other that has not really been addressed by your party. You know, we've had issues of credentials not really verified. We've had issues of his ailment. I'd like to hear from you these concerns of Nigerians that are going to be voting him. What are you saying about them? What are you doing about them?
Okay, let me first take the age issue. Now, before I was given this particular assignment, I also happened to be the secretary for the Presidential Primary Screening Committee. And in that exercise, we had the opportunity to interact with each of the 24 aspirants that vied for the ticket in APC. And part of that exercise was also to determine the issue of age. So we required for the candidates, or rather some of the candidates, to give us verifiable proof of their age. They submitted their documents, and we as a panel went through it, and we were satisfied with what we saw. So as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he was given a clean, he was given clearance from that specific panel means that we had enough proof that convinced us that our principal is the age that he claims to be. And all official records show that he is officially 70 years old, and no record anywhere exists to the contrary. And of course, we said if anyone has proof to the contrary, it should be made available. And nobody made anything available to us. So that was the issue of the age. Now, in the issue of the health, again, within that exercise, we did require, because it is of concern to us. We've had a president that has died on duty, President late Umaru Yar'Adua, may his soul rest in peace. So it was very important for us to be able to ascertain whether all the aspirants were of good health. And Asiwaju Bola Tinubu again provided us with up-to-date documentation from his doctors, and we asked them to do certain exercises that we even as we even were the ones who delegated the specific doctor. So it wasn't just documents that he gave us. It was an assessment that we did based on certain criteria that we gave him there and then. He wasn't aware of it. And again, from what I saw, he is of ill health. But I mean, we're all human beings. We don't know what is within us. Some people may have trigeminal neuralgia. Some people, you know, you don't know. You don't know. Everybody can be healthy today and not healthy tomorrow. But as far as I know, he is a man of good health. I mean, and Nigerians will be able to see this when the campaign starts, because Asiwaju Bola, Tinubu and Kashim Shettima intend to go to all the 36 states to campaign rigorously, and only a healthy person will be able to do that.
Many thanks for that. You know, still quite a number of people on the street still have concerns. Nigerians are more concerned about security and cost of living at this moment, you know, at this time. We need to speak to their minds, you know, for those who are listening to us right now. Strategically, what are your will I say your plans or your party plans on reviving the economy from, you know, debt and inflation challenges?
Is a great concern to us, and you know, we want to run a very honest campaign with Nigerians. We do not want to pretend that everything is rosy, because we know it isn't. And the truth of the matter is, we realize that economically this administration could have done a lot better, and this is right at the top, together with insecurity, is at the top of the thrust for what we want to bring out in terms of manifesto and programs. With the economy, you know, obviously this particular government, the only, I think one could give them a little bit of a pass, just a little bit of a pass, in that, you know, we look at the Ukraine war, which came at the time where there was supposed to be some sort of revival of from the pandemic, and that didn't happen. And you know, before that we had recession, so things have not really gone the way that maybe was expected. But that is not going to hinder us, and in fact that even pushes us more as a campaign, and it pushes our principal and his running mate more to be able to bring in experts to look at the problem of Nigerian economy very intensely and very holistically, and to prefer the kind of solutions that is required. And we will look at all the areas that there have been gaps within this administration, and we'll come up with ideas and reforms that will be able to reform those specific areas. And of course, the same, well, that is for the economy. So, and you know, we also have to remember, you know, Nigeria is a very populous country. I think the most populous country in Africa, and you know, it's a huge country. So Nigeria's problems are not expected to be small; they're expected to be huge. But Asiwaju Bola, Tinubu, and Kashim Shettima know this. And by the time we come out with our manifesto, which will be very soon, we will try our very best to address all these areas to the satisfaction of the voting public.
Thank you so much for all the answers you've given us so far. In recent times, we've seen a lot of negative things, you know, said on social media on the issue of PVC. And I'm wondering that what is the party doing to be able to encourage the electorate to get their PVCs at this time? Because we've seen PVCs in gutters, we've seen it on the side of the road, and there are some people that are perpetrating this evil. What is APC as a government doing to be able to, you know, encourage the electorate to be able to get their PVC, to be able to vote when 2023 comes?
We want the electorate to go out and get the PVCs as much. At that time, we encourage Nigerians, because we believe that most of the people in from our estimation, that we will be able to return a victory, a landslide victory. And the more people get their PVCs, the more opportunity for us to come back with the kind of results that would really prove that we have the mandate to govern for the next whatever amount of years. So it is sad. I was very saddened to see some of those PVCs in the gutter. I hope that INEC will get to the bottom of it. We want, I mean, if there was a chance for INEC to even extend the registration process, we welcome it, because we believe that we have the numbers. to deliver Asiwaju, Bola, Tinubu and Kashim Shettima. The more people get their PVCs, the better. And, you know, the PVCs is not just a certain constituency that's getting their PVCs. Everywhere in Nigeria, you can see from the numbers, people are across board, people are getting their PVCs. People are excited about this election. So the more people get their PVCs, the better. And I really hope that INEC really takes this seriously and gets to the bottom of people that are trying to disenfranchise other people from their constitutional right of voting by denying them their PVCs.
All right, many thanks for all your submission thus far, and I say thank you for, you know, honoring my invite to be on the show today. But before we let you go, I'm going to drag you into our trendings. There's what we call trending stories that binds us together. My co-host Marsha likes to call it a story that interests us as Nigerians, and the first trending story that caught our attention is that of the termites that hit up NSITF document containing expenditure worth 17 billion naira. You know, Marshall, let me come to you quickly before I come to my guest. What's your take on this story?
My sincere opinion, that's a farce. That's just a fallacy. Termites, we've had one of that too many. Just before the show, Lolo reminded us that some time ago we had monkeys cut away with billions. We had snakes swallowing millions. We had rats chasing the president from the Aso Villa. These were one fallacy on top of another. And then here we have termites eating up documents on expenditure worth billions. The question you want to ask yourself is, the billions before the document, where were the billions? Why didn't they get consumed by termites as well? You know, and then if termites, how many termites would have to eat these documents? And don't we have pieces of these documents to bring forth to the panel or to where it is expected to be deposed? Don't we have the pieces to show that these expenditures, or show some level of accountability for these expenditures? It's just a fallacy, if you ask me my sincere opinion. And I think that's one trick, one lie that is becoming rather too old.
Marshall, well said. I just feel that one of the funniest stories I've heard in recent times is the fact that because I'm struggling to understand the rationale, you know, why some Nigerians choose to make us a laughingstock in the global garden. You know, you come out on her in a public space where they've placed you in the corridor of power, where accountability is necessary, and such ridiculous thing that termites ate documents in the 21st century. Who does that, or who says that? As in, that is rather funny but senseless, you know. And again, I just feel the Nigerians, even from the toddler's perspective, from the fact that some stories can be cooked up for embezzlement and covering of tracks, but someone must remember that there are certain things that must not be said, you know, especially when it comes to accountability and lack of transparency. And like you have said, it has become a culture. If what's it called, Python is not swallowing hard currency, it will be monkeys and the likes. You know, right now I don't even mind being the termites because I did millions. You know, honestly, you know, I'm just tired, and I feel that in this 21st century where we are supposed to be keeping vital documents on system, we are talking about papers. And when does the world, you know, when do we understand how to actually document things in the cloud? Are they telling us that there are no electronic version of these documents anywhere else? Are they saying that the computers in the offices were also eaten by termites? You know, because why do we talk like illiterates in public space? You know, and I'm sorry to say this, you know, I'm calling on EFCC. They should be on this case and should, you know, feed Nigerians on the development of this case. You know, you read all sorts of similar lines here and there and the likes. I'm glad that at least, you know, they've called on the past MDs to also come on the board, to come and give accountability on this. And may I remind Nigerians how NSTIF was actually was put into place. It's a beautiful agency. How can we now turn this into something that have become I don't know. Sometimes, truly, I sometimes wonder why I'm Nigerian. Every time I say it on this table, but I really don't understand why I'm Nigerian. I know that every country has their own challenges, but not in this kind of thing where accountability has become or non-accountability has become a culture in our country, where even our leaders that we put in the corridor of power, when you ask them certain questions, they seem to want to be aggressive and be fiery towards you. It's so shameless. Ma'am, let me come to you. What's your take? I'm very sure you must have seen this, and if you choose not to put to have the comment, I would understand. What's your take on this, ma'am?
You know, these must be very greedy termites. I think big budgeted termites with very expensive taste. So I don't know about termites or cobras or monkeys taking anything. All I know is that the authority, if there's anyone found wanting for breaching or breaking the trust of Nigerians in that regard, then they need to face the full wrath of the law. I guarantee you, what I want you to take, you know, Asiwaju, Bola, Tinubu and Kashmir Shettima are their own men. Even though we are APC, they are coming with their own programs, and I really will assure you that there will be no story of termites or monkeys or chihuahuas or anything of the sorts, coyotes eating documents in their administration. But it is a bit ridiculous, you know, termites. I don't know. I thought termites only ate sugar, but if they do eat documents, then I think whether the termites or anyone who is found wanting should be, if they're found wanting, should face the full wrath of the law. But we stand with Nigerians in all ramifications and hope that we align ourselves and are able to present a administration, a termite-free administration, once we come on board.
All right, many thanks for your soft-show. Quickly, because I know we are running out of time. The second trending story is that of the Kenyan elections, and Nigerians should reflect on this. Lolo, let me come to you first, because I know you couldn't give your submission on the first trending. What's your take on this?
I just want to say kudos to Africa. We're known for a lot of negativity, but we're very proud what the Kenyans have done. At least we are seeing that we can have positivity come out of elections in Africa, especially when people think that only the traditional leaders can come through. A lot of people criticize the social media by saying, oh, the guy was like a social media president, he doesn't have that much clout in his country, you know, but this is the person that is the president-elect now. And I want to believe that if it happened in, I think, Zambia or so, or Zimbabwe, now that we are seeing it in Kenya, I want to believe that Nigeria is at that brink to make history. Maybe for the first time in our lives, we're going to be seeing an election that will not be going the way that people think it will go.
I don't know about that. But let me start by saying that, you know, quite a number of people, just to add to what you've just said, quite a number of people have said, oh, it's because he's a billionaire, he's rich. That's it. My dear, you cannot be a poor man and run election. Let me start by establishing that. However, I want to say congratulations to William Ruto, you know, the president-elect, and of course the current vice president of Kenya. I know there are quite a number of challenges that transpired between himself and his principal, because he didn't want him to run, you know, doing that he was under him. However, he did a fantastic job winning, and despite his principal Kenyatta being a political adversary or opposing his candidacy, you know, at least, you know, he still went ahead and he still won the election. And what does this tell us? Those are the things that were coming to mind. I read some sort of article, different articles, where no power of incumbency, but the power and the choice of the people is really important. And secondly is the fact that he's willing to give continuity to the current administration's project, as against what the culture we have in Nigeria, where anytime another administration is leaving, that's the end of that project, you know. And thirdly is the fact that they are all willing to collaborate together and function for the good and the progress of the Kenyan people. people. In as much as I feel that the sitting president at the moment is yet to congratulate them, I'm hoping that he would sit back and reflect, because I know that silence sometimes can bet a lot of ills, and we do not want such to come out of this election. However, from the electoral process, I said to myself, you know, the voting points, you mentioned something earlier, Lolo, when you were talking about our voting cards and all of that. They went ahead despite all the challenges, and first they all could vote after registering, regardless of having a voter's card or whether being in the country or not. So once you are registered as a Kenyan
in the system,
then you can vote. And I feel that that is one of the lessons that we need to pick from here about ID cards. Once you're in Kenya, you have ID cards, and you have people in diaspora, you know, you can vote from anywhere in the world. And I'm asking myself, I'm asking in pain, as a citizen, we've not heard any case of such, of tussling, of wriggling or ballot box fighting, and, you know, transmission of votes here and there. It was seamless, you know, and the Kenyans are not grumbling about that. However, we still have issues in our own country, Nigeria, with a few of these challenges that I've just itemized now. Please and please, I want to use this opportunity. You know, I don't want to hear that during our own election next year. For those who are listening to us right now, you know, I just feel that Nigeria has a lot to gain, you know, not only as being a giant of population, just like our guest was talking about our populace and all of that. I started with this because I just feel that the relatively small African Kenya is pulling up good electoral feats, and we are still in the fight of some people, you know, burning INEC offices, while others are yet to get the voters card, while, you know, may God just help us in this country. But quickly, you know, let me come to my guest. What's your take about with this win for Williams Ruto?
You know, I'm so happy about the way that the Kenyans conducted themselves during this electoral process, and it's really an example for the rest of Africa. But I do also have a lot of confidence in INEC. In the last two elections that they've conducted, the one in Ekiti and Osun, you can see that there was a great level of independence where they didn't go one way or the other. The fact that APC was able to be victorious in the first election with SDP closely behind, it was not about the two ruling parties. And in Osun, the fact that the main opposition party was able to be victorious above the ruling party shows you there was independence even within that process. And I hope this is the same application that we will see during the general election. That is very important for us, because, you know, it's not for us only about running an election and winning. It's about, God willing, governing. So, you know, we don't want to go through a process where there's so much rancor and other parties feel so disenfranchised to the extent that it will be difficult for us to unify the nation. So it is very important for us to be able to do a free and fair process, and whatever Nigerians decide is what we will go by and abide by, and it's what we will subject ourselves to. But I hope that Nigerians listening out there today will be able to listen to our programs and ideas and support, in fact, bat for bat, which is Bola, Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, support them to be returned as president and 2023.
All right, many thanks for that. We've come to the end of another edition of Real Talk with Kike. Indeed, we had an awesome show on today's edition of Real Talk with Kike. Can't see our resourceful guest, Mrs. Hannatu Musawa, and I must register right here that I'm so proud of all your achievements as a lawyer, as a politician as well, if I'm allowed to refer to you as that. But many thanks for, you know, being on our lunch show today. With that, we've come to the end. My name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. You are?
Bola, David.
So you're going to add termites to your name.
Oh, yeah. There's a better name to add to it.
All right. Adios, amigos.
All right, guys. Bye now.
stay in the car. Okay, just stay in the car. But Diabolo? Okay, what's he saying?
Diabolo means devil.